I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to fix a tire tube. First, blow up your tube. Identify where the hole is. This particular tube is brand new. Even with tube liners, you occasionally get flats. Let me show you how I'm going to fix this. Brad Williams, Grit DIY. First, you want to identify where the hole is. Inflate your tire. This was a brand new tube. I ended up running over a bunch of tree stuff. Even with tube liners, I got multiple punctures. Here's the first one, and now I'm going to try to fix the second one. I use Shoe Goo. Why? Because I'm always fixing flats. I've been using this stuff for 10 plus years. It works about 90% of the time. Here's the key thing: prep. You got to prep, otherwise it doesn't matter what you use, it won't work. So I use this little round file. I will use bike tube. I just cut the tube. I'm going to clean this up using this file, and then I'm going to file this. I'm going to just rough it up, and that's it. I know this is primitive. I like primitive because it works for me. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I don't know if this will be successful. I will probably just put this patch right up against the other patch. It'll be a 50-50 call. But I'm willing to take that risk, and all I do is I'll just go around and I'll rough up, and this is steel, and it works pretty well. And all I'm going to do is try to rough this up a little bit and do the same thing here, where I'll try to get off. There's some glue here. I'm going to try to remove this. And there's part of the tube. I'll go underneath that tube. And then this little patch here, I'll rough this up. I'm going to cut this in half. I don't like looping around. It never sticks. So I'm just going to cut this in half. And then I'm just going to rough it up. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah. I'm just going to try to rough this up. And if you don't do this, it won't stick. It just won't stick. You can see there's some residue on here, this white stuff. And all I'm doing is just roughing it up. And clearly the center is the most important. I don't know if you can see that. I'll go here. You may not be able to see black on black. But there's no set way to do this. Just rough it up a little bit, and then wipe it best you can. If you have a cloth, water, that's good. Then dry fit it. Then all I'm going to do is put a little Shoe Goo. I use a toothpick. I usually insert it in the hole just as a guide. And I use a generous amount of Shoe Goo. I mean, this is $5. It'll last a while. Try to keep it in a warmer place. I found that if you leave it out in a colder environment, after time, it will harden up on you. And try to keep the lid on. Just replace the lid. I keep mine now in plastic bags in a warmer environment. Just smear it around on the tube, like so. You only have a couple of minutes to get this set. And then try to get the corners. That's usually my weakest area. I always forget to get the corners. I need to place it underneath, move it back and forth. I have a brick here and a piece of plastic. I usually wrap it like this, nice and tight. And then I set it here, and I'll let it sit like that for 24 hours or so. That's it. If you need an emergency fix, this is not the solution. This is the way I've been doing it for years. It works most of the time. This one might be, well, I'll show you. I'll let it dry. I'll blow it up tomorrow and see if it works. Generally, it's questionable when you have side-to-side punctures. We'll see. Here's a second tube. This is a huge hole. I doubt if I can patch this, but I'm going to give it a shot. The same procedure. I'll clean this up. I'll use a much larger patch, a lot more glue, and we'll see how it works. I don't think you guys probably need to to watch me do this prep, but I'll leave the camera on. I pulled an old patch off because I probably didn't prep this thing well enough. So I'm just going to go through again, scratch up everything, try to get the old glue off. But keep in mind that this shoe glue, like any glue, only has a limited life. In other words, its stickability, I don't know if that's the proper term, but I mean, this tube could be 4 or 5 years old. What I do is I carry them with me when I'm out riding. And this could be an old tube that it just, the glue loses its stickability. It just loses its function. But you can see there's a huge hole. You may be able to see that. I don't know if I can catch that, but we'll try. It looks as though I didn't do a very good job in the internal part of this thing. I need to keep this reference here. Use whatever means that works for you, but toothpicks work pretty darn good. And then if you really need to get into it, get on the edge here. I know there are other tools out there, but this works pretty good for me. And that's about all you need. It's pretty roughed up. And then this part here, just try to scratch off all this white stuff. All you're trying to do is just scruff it up so the glue has something to adhere to. It's an adhesive. It won't stick to smooth surfaces. And this is just a really simple process. And before I do this, I'm going to have to get another brick in order to weigh this down, trying to get it. I've used, if you don't have bricks and you have clothespins work good also. What you do is you wrap that plastic around the tube, and then you put clothespins around just around the plastic. Try to hold it in place and just let it dry naturally. Now, here it is, the end of the year of 2025, and I'm in Northern California, and it is chilly. Clearly not North Dakota chilly, but it's cold. And the workability of this Shoe Goo is pretty good, but it's going to take longer to dry. There you go. I just use a little saliva to clean it up a little bit. Any kind of weight will work. I have bricks. They work well. Need to grab a second brick, or let's just do something different. I have one of these clamps. That'll work better than the brick, I think. And then SOS, same old stuff. Apply the goo. Make sure this is somewhat clean. Again, it's all about prep. And try to get just a general idea of outline of your area that you want to seal. And you can rub this around with your fingers if you want. I do. It comes off fairly easily if you happen to get it on your fingers. Peel it off. And just put a nice amount. So it's pretty good coverage. Pull this off, throw it on, go back and forth, try to get the corners, smear it around like that. Pretty good coverage, pretty good seal. Grab a piece of plastic, wrap it like so, and then put that on there. I think that's a pretty good tool. I didn't even think about that till right now. So there you go. I'll test these tomorrow. I'll show you what the outcome is. Here's the problem. You see that? That's a waste, and I don't like doing that. So maybe I can tap it down. Yep. I'm just going to do this. I just don't like wasting it. I just wiped it down. I don't want this stuff sealing in the threads. I'm also going to grab and use one of these right here. Just like that. There we go. But that's the way I do it. Here is the tube that the brick laid on. Here's the tube with the clamps. Gonna pull this off. That's the end result. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Then I'll just inflate it. And then I'll let it sit and see if it leaks. I'll report back. And the clamp, pull this off. Pull this off. I don't know. I doubt if this one will hold. It was a pretty good sized leak. When you pull this off, be careful. Just hold the tube. Try to find where the patch is. Remove the plastic. And that's what it looks like. It looks pretty good. You'd never know how these will seal. And I will inflate it. And I'll get back to you to see if it holds. Good news on this older tube is the patch held. Bad news, it's fatal. And this is the best way to test. See the bubbles? That's at the stem, and there's nothing you can do about that. See the bubbles? Nothing you can do other than save it for future patches, cut it up. But oddly, I've never had this happen, but over the last 2 weeks, it's happened twice. Interesting. I don't know if it's the tube, maybe it's the air level. I'm gonna have to experiment as to why this is happening. But this one's dead. The other one right now, 4 hours after filling it, full of air, it's holding. So I'll report. I'll let you know how that holds up in about 5 hours. So in the end, this newer tube and this Shoe Goo worked great. The other tube, it wasn't the Shoe Goo, it was the actual tube. So 50-50. Shoe Goo worked great. As you can see right here, held up well. The other tube, it was the failure on the stem. So my recommendation, if you ride on a regular basis and you find yourself always having to patch tubes, try Shoe Goo. I get it at Walmart for $5. They're certainly not a sponsor. I just am recommending stuff that's worked. 10 plus years. Give it a shot. Comment. You got a better suggestion, let me know. If you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe. Hit that like thing. Brad Williams, Grit DIY. Hope that helped. Thanks for watching. See you soon.